So, my name is John. I'm coming back with an issue I had on my refrigerator in the camper. So recently I just put in a new refrigerator in the camper. It is an RM2620RX Dometic, and it came in fantastic, brand new, right out of the box. Just so much nicer than the older one. Ran a lot cooler from what I noticed. And of course, I've only put it in probably about a week ago at this time. But I went out for the weekend with some family, military family, and the fridge ran flawlessly since I put it in. Just ran really well. So I ran it a couple days before we left. Well, on the way back, you can. Some people do. They don't recommend it, but I ran with it on. That way my stuff stayed cool, as I had meats and stuff that I didn't want to, and I had a long drive. I didn't want it to go out and get bad. So I was running with it on, and after each stop, I'd always check on it. And again, fueling up. Before I fueled up, I turned off the propane, and I turned off the fridge because it is an open flame. You don't want to do that while you're fueling. And then when we got back out away from the pumps, I turned it back on and ran with it on again. Well, I checked it a couple times. I was on the road for about 4 hours before I got home. And when we finally got home, it was late. I told my wife, don't worry about it, I'll plug it in. And the fridge, of course, that's the nice thing about having a fridge. You don't really have to unload right away. So I figured, well, we'll just leave the food in there, let it run, and we can get it, tomorrow. When I went through a lot of blogs, before this point, trying to figure it out. But when I got home, it wasn't working. There was no power at all to it. And so first thing I did was check for battery power. I checked my batteries, checked the fuses. I went through the fuse panel, checked it. Came to the back of the refrigerator. I'll show you here. Came to the back of it. Oh, dang it. I came to the back and checked here. On the panel, there's one. Well, you got one here, and then one here, which is a sending unit. But it's your backup too, just like the fuse here at the bottom. The old cell glass fuse. I hope you've seen that. My camera's, I don't know why it won't let me swap around. But, like I say, and I had some issues, and I'm still having issues with this thing. Like I said, I checked the glass fuse there, and you have your relay switch here as well. They say they can go bad pretty quickly, from what I've seen on blogs and read. So I checked that, and they were good. And then just off the front of your panel here, or your circuit board, there is a connection right here where your 12-volt lines come in, your DC power. So I checked with my multimeter. On 12 volt to see whether or not I had a good current come through. And I was showing 12.26 volts, which is a decent amount coming through. Because they say it only takes, it can run on 10 and up on the fridge. It can run on. So I'm like, well, I got power, so there's got to be something past this point. But I'm not showing anything in here burn out. I'm not seeing anything other than a possible problem with the circuit board that I just can't see myself. So I started doing a little searching. I checked off the side here to make sure there was no bad connection on the opposite side coming out, and everything was connected just fine. And then I started troubleshooting from the panel itself. I checked to make sure I had AC power coming in from the plug-in, which I had plugged in, and it was showing good connection. And I switched over to ohms to make sure I had good continuity. for charges to flow through the lines, which all of them showed good numbers for the ohms on the continuity. So I went back and checked on the battery to see if I had any voltage at all, and there was no voltage. So on this connector, so I know now that it wasn't within the circuit board. So I'm like, well, hell, I don't know. Cut line or something that was going wrong. So I had to take it apart. So I took off and found out that the red wire runs back behind the panel here that covers the flue and your igniter, which I took that off too, just to check everything since I just ran it. But I found out that there was a wire, and it ran back here behind and clipped here on this little connector, and it runs into this, I'm guessing another, I'm not sure what the heck it is, to be honest with you, another sending in another fuse right here. Connects in the red power line that connects here, flows back down right here and hooks right into your circuit board. So I'm guessing that's another fail-safe fuse, a backup, which I haven't been able to check that. But the red line that comes out of your positive 12 volt runs back here. So I found that, and there's this little rubber piece on it. As it folds up into that little bracket there, there's a little rubber piece here. I'll show you in a second. Let me get my wobbling hands around. But it folds up and just tucks onto that and then plugs into that. Well, pulling back the rubber piece on that power line, looks like there's another fuse right here. So I still had it plugged in. I used my multimeter and I checked this side of the fuse, or this side of the line coming in, and I had good voltage, 12.26. And then I went to the opposite side, nothing, dead. So I know there's a lot of videos out there on differences in either the power issue here for the fuses on your battery, not getting through, or the fuses burning out on your circuit board. And there's another one to where if this is all good and you got power flowing through it, but there's a small circuit board under the control panel where you turn off and on or switch it to auto. That can also go bad as well, so keep that in mind if you're having issues with your fridge and if it goes out. I mean, things happen, surges happen, so these fuses are there for safety. I haven't checked to see how much it is online yet, but I'm pretty sure that this right here is my issue because there's no power flowing through it. And again, I'll have to double check that. I might order that in just in case, because I don't know if that could be an issue too. If that surge may have burnt this out, if this is a fuse or just a circuit guard, I'm not sure. So I'm going to double check on that. But so I should be back once I get the part and see if that is the issue, and if it is, then good. And I'll just update the video. That way you know whether or not it worked. This is John. I'm back with the repair on my refrigerator. On the thermal fuse that went out on the back end of my Dometic 2620. So I'm going to show you the part here that I found and where I found it. I'll let you know. Here's the thermal fuse the new one that I picked up. I bought and already got it connected to the wire to get ready to install back to the circuit panel, and then reroute it back through this little bracket, hook it to this thermostat for the flue. You can find the part, actually the thermal fuse, you can find it at a Radio Shack or any kind of computer store near you. This one was just over $1. It was pretty cheap. It was actually cheaper. I was going to buy it online on Amazon, but the shipping, one of them would cost me like $9, and this was just under 2, so just over 1. It wasn't too expensive, so I ended up buying 2. It comes with instructions in it, and they got little clamps, you know, that way you can, you know, reclamp it back onto the wire that it was connected to. So pretty easy and quick to grab those and get them connected back on. So what I'm going to do is get this connected back up, see if it fixes my problem that I'm having with no power in my refrigerator. I'm hoping it does. If it does, fantastic. If not, then back to the drawing board. The wire back up to the circuit board, and I've hooked it back up to this, I believe, thermostat, and I've got that thermal fuse tucked back in here on this bracket, protected into this wire, this insulated wire protector here. It just kind of folds up and pinches right into that little holder there, nice and easy. And I ran the wires and hooked them back up into my 12 volt. And of course, like you do with anything, if you're messing with electronics or electricity, make sure your power's off. So I did unplug the rig, and I have the battery unconnected too. I'm not an expert by any means, so if you have no idea what you're doing, consult an expert, a dealership, an electrician, with whatever you're doing. I am just kind of a do-it-yourself kind of guy. I believe in saving some money. With a little common sense, I think that's easy to do. But if you do not have a clue, seek out help with a professional. That way you're not costing yourself more money. So everything's hooked up. Let's see how this works. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that I fixed it. The 110 plugged back in, and we'll walk around to the front. Got my battery connectors hooked back up. Let's see if I can squeeze by my bike here. And the old camper. Excuse the mess. Everything thrown in here right now. Alright, yeah, here's the fridge I just bought and put in not too long ago, about 2 weeks ago or so. Got it on eBay, new, pretty good fridge. And let's see, everything's plugged in, the fuses are in. Luckily for me, I fixed it. That did it right there. It's working off AC power right now, which is because, of course, I have it on auto. And you can switch it over here to gas. I'm trying to remember if I have my gas on. I'll check that real quick. I used the doggone thing on a trip to go see some family / military family. Okay, we're on. But and the flame's on. So I fixed it. That looked like that was my issue. So again, recap. Had power problems, couldn't figure it out. Thing, you know, just shut off. It was a brand new thing, so a brand new fridge. And the other one went out on me on a Colorado trip. That was kind of a crazy mess, but it is what it is. Things happen when you're on the road, so you always got to be prepared for that. We ended up just buying a huge cooler in Canton, Colorado. What a fun time that was. We lost all our food, but put the new one in. Used it for the first time last weekend, and it worked like a champ. On the way home, I left it on. There's a lot of people out there that recommend not running it, but I have no problem running it.
It keeps everything cold, especially long distance, you know, getting home. Of course, you can run it nice and cold right before you leave, turn it off and just not open it, because it'll keep that cool inside. It's just like a cooler, and then you can drive home with it. And then if you're stopping anywhere, turn it on and let it cool down some more. But I run with it on, and I checked it periodically as we stopped, but the doggone thing was working. Get home and it was off, and I'm like, what the heck? Well, and I explained in the beginning of the video all the steps I went through and what I checked, and it ended up being that doggone fuse. Thank goodness, you know, because if I would have taken it to a shop, it would have cost me $90 an hour with a minimum of 2 hours, and then they would have fixed that small issue with the fuse and still charged me probably $10 for the dang fuse, and they probably would have rewired it, so, you know, it cost me another $20 in wiring, because they'll just gouge you. A lot of places will. Well, not everybody, but there's certain places, and I've not really had the best luck of getting help with my RV specialist where I'm located. So for me, a little common sense helps out. I've got some of the tools that help me. There's a lot of information out there. A lot of people do videos, so I just kind of do my own work if I can. But of course, I'm not an expert, not an electrician, not a carpenter, and so you know, if you find it hard to do, you know, seek out an expert, get some information. Don't try to handle electricity without any knowledge of the dangers. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, please hit a like up for me. I don't know if I'm gonna continue doing this. Something that my wife and daughter wanted me to do, but I'm gonna try to keep continuing doing small repairs here and there, camper or home repairs, vehicle repairs, just kind of throwing in things that I do. I'm not an expert, but you know, if I can help somebody out save a little bit of money, and I know that saved me some money right there just doing it myself, then I'm going to try to put these videos out, especially with this thermal fuse. I hadn't seen anything online or any other videos out there for it. I've seen, like I said, reworking on installs, on the cooling units on the back of these things. I've seen those videos. I've seen replacing the circuit boards. I've seen for the back, the fuses for the back. The fuses running through your camper could be an issue, or even the fuse behind the signal switch up here can be an issue. I've seen those videos, but nothing on that thermal fuse. I had no idea that thing was in there, or even what the heck it was for. But I did some research, and that's what it was. It cost me a whole, you know, under $2, and it's fixed. Thank you for watching. You have a good day. Safe travels.